I never thought I'd be the kind of woman standing in my walk-in closet at 6 in the morning, staring at empty hangers that still smelled like my husband's cologne, while outside the window the HOA flag fluttered like it was mocking me. But there I was, same pajamas for 2 days straight, hands shaking so hard I could barely grip the dresser drawer. Gerald's side of the bed? Stone cold. Not. He got up early for work cold. Nobody slept here cold. I yanked open the drawers one by one. Empty. 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 His Rolex. The stupid expensive cufflinks I bought him for our anniversary. Even that god-awful cologne Karen once complimented at the last block party. All gone. Mom! Tommy's voice floated up from the doorway. My 10-year-old stood there already dressed for school. Backpack straps tight. Eyes way too calm for a kid who should be crying. Dad's gone. Isn't he? He said it like he was announcing the weather. I tried to smile. My voice cracked like cheap drywall. Hey, baby. Did you sleep okay? He didn't move for a hug. Just shifted his backpack. You need to check the computer. The banking stuff. Something icy dropped into my stomach. I followed him downstairs to Gerald's office. The same office I decorated with those tasteful neutral tones Karen approved in her last email blast. Tommy wiggled the mouse. The bank site loaded. Joint account, $2,347. We had $800,000 last week. Gerald was HOA treasurer. The money flowed through him like water. Check the college fund, Tommy said quietly. My fingers felt numb. 10 years of birthday deposits. Christmas bonuses. Every extra dollar I scraped together while I stayed home, raising him. Zero. Zero. The room tilted. I grabbed the desk so I wouldn't hit the floor. Tommy pointed to a folded note beside the keyboard. Gerald's handwriting. Sharp and efficient. Linda, I'm sorry it had to be this way. Karen and I are starting fresh somewhere new. The money will help us build the life we deserve. You'll be fine. You're strong. Tell Tommy I'm sorry. Gee, Karen. The same Karen who'd been president of Willow Creek HOA for 6 years. The one who once fined me $350 for excessive holiday cheer because my Christmas lights were 0.2 lumens too bright according to her precious guidelines. The woman who smiled at every meeting and said, "We're all family here," while her eyes calculated exactly how much she could squeeze out of each homeowner. And now she'd run off with my husband and our entire future. The papers slipped from my fingers. I slid down the wall, ugly sobs ripping out of me. 12 years of marriage. Gone. The house we bought because Karen personally approved the paint color. Gone in spirit. Tommy's college. Gone. Mom. Tommy crouched in front of me. Face serious. No tears. Don't worry too much. I think I already handled it. I stared at my 10-year-old like he'd grown a second head. Handled it? Tommy. What could a kid possibly? My phone exploded. Missed calls from my father. My sister Patricia. Texts piling up. Linda. Call me now. Your sister told me about Gerald. I'm coming over. Tommy shrugged. I called them 20 minutes ago. They should be here soon. Before I could demand answers. Car doors slammed outside. My father's deep voice. Patricia's higher one. They burst in like they owned the place, which, in Willow Creek, everyone acted like they did under Karen's reign. My father hugged me too tight. I told you that man was trouble. Patricia already had coffee brewing, eyes scanning the room like she was taking inventory. I was too numb to argue. Maybe he'd been right. But as they took over the kitchen table with lawyers on speakerphone, something fell off. Patricia kept checking her phone, smiling at the screen when she thought I wasn't looking. My father kept muttering about HOA liens and how the fines Karen had slapped on me for the last 2 years might force us to sell. Tommy slipped upstairs without a word. I heard the faint click of his keyboard through the door. School had already called. He hadn't turned in a single assignment. When I peeked in, he minimized whatever was on the screen and gave me that same calm smile. Just homework. Mom. The next 3 days blurred like cheap HOA paint. I didn't sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw Karen's perfect blonde bob and that fake sympathetic smile she gave me at the last meeting. We just want what's best for property values. Linda dear, property values, right? While she was busy stealing my husband and my money. My father spread bankruptcy papers across the dining table like he was planning a military campaign. We file tomorrow. It's your only option. Patricia slid plates of food I couldn't eat. Tommy needs you strong. Sis. But her voice had that edge. The same edge she used when she helped me pick curtains that Karen later declared non-compliant. The debt collectors started calling. Gerald had maxed 3 credit cards in my name. $68,000 on business expenses that somehow included jewelry and hotel stays. My father shook his head. You might have to sell the house. The HOA has liens piling up. Karen's been extra strict since Gerald left. I snapped. This is Tommy's home. I won't let that woman take everything. Patricia squeezed my hand. Eyes not quite meeting mine. Be realistic. Linda, you haven't worked in 10 years. Who's going to hire you? That night, I couldn't sleep again. Around 11, I crept downstairs for water. Light glowed under Tommy's door. I knocked softly. Come in. Mom. He was at his desk. Laptop open. And he quickly closed it when he saw me. Tommy, we need to talk about what you said, that you handled it. He looked older than 10 in the lamplight. Just a few more days. Trust me. As I passed Patricia's guest room, I heard her on the phone. Voice low. No. She doesn't suspect anything, yet just give it another week. She's too much of a mess to notice. My heart stopped. I pressed my ear closer. Once the dust settles, we can move forward with the plan. I burst in. Patricia jumped. Phone nearly dropping. Linda, God, you scared me. Just talking to Kevin about Mom's birthday. Her smile never reached her eyes. I backed out, but the feeling wouldn't leave. Something else was happening. Something bigger than Gerald and Karen running off like thieves in the night. And my own family was in on it. 6 days after Gerald vanished, I'd stopped counting hours and started counting heartbeats. Each one felt borrowed. Debt collectors left voicemails that made my stomach twist. The mortgage company sent a certified letter. And every single day, another HOA violation notice appeared on my door, courtesy of Karen's emergency acting treasurer replacement. But we all knew the orders came from wherever she and Gerald were hiding. Non-compliant lawn height. Unauthorized emotional support plant on porch. Failure to display approved community pride flag. Each fine $250. Stacked like Karen was personally building a wall around my life. My father had commandeered the dining room. Papers everywhere. Bankruptcy. Foreclosure. Liquidation. Words that tasted like the cheap coffee Patricia kept forcing on me. We file tomorrow, he announced at dinner. It'll protect you from the credit card debt. My credit's already ruined, I whispered. Gerald saw to that. Patricia brought more food. She'd been hovering for a week, constantly on her phone, smiling at texts, then hiding the screen. Tommy ate in silence, then disappeared upstairs again. The clicking never stopped. That night, I lay staring at the ceiling when my phone rang. Gerald's name lit up the dark. My heart slammed against my ribs. I answered with shaking hands. What the hell did you do? He screamed so loud I had to pull the phone away. The accounts are frozen. All of them. The FBI showed up at the hotel. Money laundering. Fraud. HOA treasury theft. They have records. Linda. Transactions I never made. Emails I never sent. I could barely breathe. You're the one who stole everything. I took what I needed, but not this. Patricia's been bleeding me dry for months. Your father, too. They've been blackmailing me. Linda, did you know that? You're lying. Check Patricia's accounts. That Hawaii trip last month? I paid for it. Your father's casino debts. I've been covering them for 8 months. They threatened to tell you about the affair, the one before Karen. His voice cracked. And now someone gave the feds everything. If it wasn't you, then find out who, because they set all of us up. The line went dead. I sat in the dark, phone trembling. Patricia blackmailing Gerald. My father involved. It sounded insane. But then I remembered her midnight calls. The way she and Dad exchanged glances when they thought I wasn't looking. The way the HOA fines had mysteriously doubled right after Gerald started acting distant. My bedroom door creaked. Tommy stood there, backlit, face deadly serious. That was Dad, wasn't it? How did you? I heard. He walked in, closed the door, then pulled his laptop from behind my dresser. Mom, we need to talk right now. Sit down. Something in his 10-year-old voice made me obey. He opened the laptop. Files. Dozens. Emails. Bank statements. Recorded calls. Security footage. I need to show you what's really been happening, he said. And you're not going to like it. He clicked. A video dated 3 months ago. HOA office camera. Clear as day. Gerald and Karen in a heated embrace. Her perfect manicured hands in his hair. Laughing like teenagers who own the world. Not just an affair. They were laughing about the money. Keep watching, Tommy whispered. The audio file next. Karen's voice. Sweet as her public meetings. Transfer another $20,000 by Friday. Gerald. The board can't notice the missing HOA funds if we keep the fines rolling in on Linda. Make it look like she's the problem neighbor. Gerald's exhausted reply. Patricia and Robert are getting greedy. They want more or they'll blow the whole thing open. Tommy clicked through methodically. Bank transfers from the HOA treasury to Patricia's account. $15,000 here. $20,000 there. Over 8 months. Nearly $200,000. Emails between Patricia and my father coordinating exact amounts for his gambling debts. Patricia updating. Karen says one more big fine on Linda's house, and she'll have to sell. We split the equity after Gerald and Karen disappear. The last email, 6 months old. From Patricia to Dad. Linda got everything when Mom died. The inheritance. The house. She doesn't appreciate it. Gerald's loaded, and she just plays housewife. If we bleed him dry with Karen's help and force the divorce, Linda will have nothing. Then we finally get what we deserve. My own sister. My own father. Working with Karen, the woman who'd preached community first while siphoning the HOA treasury and sleeping with my husband. They'd used the affair as leverage. Piled fines to break me. Planned to leave me with nothing while they split the spoils. How did you get all this? I whispered. 2 months ago, I needed Dad's computer for a school project. I found the hidden folder. I taught myself YouTube, mostly. Set up programs to copy everything automatically. Every email, every call on the HOA line, every transfer. I've been collecting for 8 weeks. Tommy pulled up another screen. A trust account in his name. The college fund isn't gone. I moved it 3 weeks ago when I realized they were planning to run. Dad tried to empty it the night he left, but it was already safe. Tommy, that's illegal. You're 10. I know. But someone had to protect us. Dad wasn't going to stop. Patricia and Grandpa weren't going to stop. Karen sure wasn't going to stop fining you into the ground. They were all stealing from us. My mind spun. The FBI. Gerald screaming about money laundering. I submitted an anonymous tip yesterday, Tommy said quietly. All the evidence. The HOA embezzlement. The blackmail. The fraud. I couldn't let them hurt you anymore. I pulled him into my arms. He was shaking now. The brave mask cracking. My baby boy who'd carried the weight of 3 adults' greed on his small shoulders. Footsteps on the stairs. My father. Linda? We need to talk about the bankruptcy papers. Tommy closed the laptop. That'll be them. Who? The FBI. I told them everything yesterday. They move fast when the evidence is this good. The doorbell rang long. Official. Then knocking. FBI. Open the door. Downstairs, my father cursed. Patricia started talking fast. Panicked, Tommy looked at me with those ancient eyes. I'm sorry, Mom, but they had to pay. All of them. The FBI agents stood in our living room like dark pillars against the pastel, HOA-approved walls. Two men in suits, badges glinting under the recessed lighting Karen had once mandated. My father sat on the couch, face purple with rage. Patricia cried into her hands, mascara streaking like cheap community event face paint. I stood on the stairs with Tommy's hand in mine, watching the empire of lies collapse in real time. Robert Chun, you're under arrest for conspiracy to commit fraud and money laundering. The taller agent, Anderson, snapped handcuffs. You have the right to remain silent. This is ridiculous, my father roared. I'm the victim here. My son-in-law stole from my daughter. Agent Anderson's voice stayed flat. We have 8 months of documented transactions. Your gambling debts. The payments from Gerald Morrison. The coordination with your daughter Patricia and the HOA president. We have everything. Patricia looked up at me, eyes wild. Linda, you have to believe me. We were just trying to help you see what Gerald really was. We were protecting you by blackmailing my husband, by stealing from the HOA treasury, by piling fines on me until I had nothing left. My voice came out steady, almost amused. The dark laugh that comes when everything finally makes sense. You and Dad and Karen, all playing the same game. Patricia Chun, the second agent, said, you're also under arrest. Extortion. Fraud. Conspiracy. Patricia lunged toward me. Linda, tell them, I'm your sister. The agent caught her arm. She screamed all the way out the door. 20 minutes later, the cars pulled away. Lights flashing against the perfect lawns of Willow Creek. The neighborhood was waking up. Curtains twitched. Phones lit up. The great Karen empire was about to get its own violation notice, this one from the federal government. Agent Anderson sat across from us at the kitchen table, the same table where my father had spread his bankruptcy lies hours earlier. Your son provided us with evidence that would have taken our forensic accountants months to compile. Incredibly detailed. He's 10, I said weakly. We're aware. Anderson looked at Tommy with something close to respect. Son, do you understand that accessing private emails, recording calls without consent, transferring money without authorization, those are serious federal crimes? Tommy nodded. Yes, sir. I know. Then why? Because my mom needed help and nobody else was going to give it. They were all stealing from us. I had to stop them. The agents exchanged glances. The shorter one, Williams, leaned forward. Under normal circumstances, we'd have to charge you too. But given your age, the circumstances, and the fact that your information led to the arrest of 3 adults engaged in serious financial crimes against a homeowners association, we're willing to make an exception. Relief hit me so hard I cried. However, Anderson added, your son needs evaluation by a child psychologist. What he did shows advanced capabilities, but also concerning behavior for his age. Counseling is mandatory. I'll take him, I said immediately. Whatever he needs. Over the following weeks, the full picture spilled out like cheap HOA gossip at a block party. Gerald had been siphoning HOA treasury funds for years, using client escrow from his real job to cover it up. Karen, the saintly president who fined residents for visual pollution, had been signing off on every fake expense while sleeping with my husband. Patricia and my father had known about the affair from the beginning, the one 5 years ago that started the blackmail, and used it to bleed Gerald dry, while Karen kept the fines coming on my house to force a sale. They planned to split everything once I was broke. Vanessa, the secretary everyone assumed was the other woman, turned out to be completely innocent. She genuinely thought Gerald's marriage was over and knew nothing about the theft. The college fund was returned to Tommy's trust. The FBI helped recover most of his savings. Not all. Patricia had blown tens of thousands on stress relief trips, but enough. Enough to keep the house. Enough to breathe. The credit card debt traced straight back to Gerald and Karen working together. Those charges vanished from my name. And the HOA, the board, was dissolved pending investigation. Every single fine Karen had ever issued against me was wiped. The new temporary president, a quiet retired accountant 3 houses down, actually apologized. We had no idea she was using the rules as a weapon. I went back to work. A small accounting firm downtown hired me despite the 10-year gap. Anyone who raised a son smart enough to take down an entire corrupt HOA board must have something special, the owner said with a grin. I didn't tell them my special son had done it with YouTube tutorials in pure protective rage. Tommy started therapy twice a week. Dr. Brooks called him gifted, but traumatized from playing adult for too long. With support, he'll be fine. He just needs to remember how to be a kid again. 3 months after that midnight raid, Tommy and I sat on the back porch eating ice cream while the sun painted the sky the kind of orange Karen would have fined for non-approved sunset tones. He'd actually played outside with the neighborhood kids that afternoon instead of living on his laptop. Small victories. Mom, he said, licking chocolate off his spoon. Are you mad at me for what I did? I looked at my brilliant, damaged, fiercely protective son. The boy who'd carried 3 adults' greed so I wouldn't have to. No, baby, I'm not mad. I'm sad you had to do it. I'm sad I didn't see what was happening right under my roof, and right under Karen's perfect HOA smile. He nodded slowly. You always said family protects family. I was just making sure we protected the right people. I'll pull him close. You're right. Sometimes family is just the 2 of us. And that's enough. He leaned his head against my shoulder. Yeah, Mom, that's enough. The sun finished setting. The sky went dark. But inside our house, the same house Karen and my own blood had tried to steal, the lights were warm and bright. We'd lost almost everything. My husband, my father, my sister, my trust, my innocence in the perfect community. But we'd kept what mattered. Each other. The truth. A future that belonged to us alone. The neighborhood changed after Karen's arrest. The gossip at the community mailbox shifted from, did you see what Linda did now, to can you believe Karen was stealing from all of us? People who'd crossed the street to avoid me now waved awkwardly. Some even brought casseroles, the universal suburban apology. The new board repealed half the ridiculous rules overnight. No more fines for chalk on driveways. No more approved flower palette. Kids played outside again without fear of violation notices. I started attending the meetings not as the silent, fined into submission resident, but as the woman who'd survived the ultimate HOA Karen takedown. The first time I stood up and calmly suggested we use some of the recovered funds to build an actual playground instead of another community pride sign, the room went quiet. Then someone clapped. Slowly at first. Then everyone. Tommy watched from the back row, that calm smile on his face. He didn't need to say anything. We both knew the real victory wasn't the applause. It was the look on Karen's face in the newspaper photo, mugshot perfect, blonde bob still somehow flawless. The caption reading, former HOA president charged in multi-million-dollar embezzlement scheme. Every time I drove past the big entrance sign that used to fill me with dread, I smiled. The woman who'd spent years making my life hell with petty rules and fake politeness had finally met rules she couldn't rewrite. The power she wielded like a crown had been ripped away by the smallest person in the neighborhood, my 10-year-old son who'd simply refused to let her win. And the best part? The dark, delicious irony that still made me laugh in the middle of the night. Karen, the queen of we're all family here, had been taken down by actual family loyalty. The kind that doesn't come with fines or meeting minutes. The kind that comes from a kid who decided his mom was worth fighting the entire system for. Sometimes the people who hurt you most were the friendliest smiles and the biggest HOA name tags. Sometimes your greatest protector comes in the smallest package with the biggest brain. Tommy taught me that blood doesn't make family. Loyalty does. Love does. Protection does. And as we sat on that porch, ice cream melting, the house lights glowing behind us, I realized something else. I'd spent 12 years trying to fit into the perfect HOA picture Karen painted. But perfection was always a lie. What we had now, scarred, smaller, rebuilt from the ruins, was real. This was enough. This was home. The story didn't end with the arrests. It kept unfolding like the best kind of neighborhood drama, the kind where the villain gets exactly what she deserves and the quiet ones finally get to speak. Karen's trial made the local news. HOA president's double life exposed, the headline screamed. They showed footage of her being led into court in an orange jumpsuit that clashed horribly with her signature pastel cardigans. The prosecutor played the security footage of her and Gerald in the HOA office, the same office where she'd once lectured me about maintaining community standards. The jury laughed when the audio caught her saying, "Just keep finding Linda until she breaks." My father and Patricia took pleas. They'll be paying restitution for years. Gerald got the longest sentence. Turns out embezzling HOA funds while running a side real estate scam crosses a lot of federal lines. Karen? She's looking at 15 years. No more perfect lawns for her. The best revenge, though, was the quiet kind. The day the new board voted to refund every fine Karen had ever issued in the last 6 years. My mailbox was stuffed with checks. Neighbors I barely knew stopped me at the mailbox to say, "We should have listened to you." One woman who used across the street when she saw me actually brought homemade cookies and apologized for believing Karen's rumors. Tommy's therapy is going well. Dr. Brooks says he's learning to let other people carry some of the weight now. He still checks the bank accounts every week. Old habits. But he also rides his bike outside without looking over his shoulder for violation notices. Last week, he joined the new community soccer league. No paperwork required. I started dating again. Nothing serious yet. Just coffee with the quiet accountant who replaced Karen. He laughs when I joke about HOA red flags and promises the only rules he enforces are be kind and don't steal from your neighbors. Some nights, I still wake up at 6 a.m. and check the closet out of habit. But now it's full again, my clothes. Tommy's school uniforms. A few new things I bought with my first paycheck. No empty hangers swaying like ghosts. And every time I drive through the gates, I see the big HOA sign that used to feel like a warning. Now it just looks like a regular sign. Because the real power in Willow Creek isn't held by presidents with perfect smiles anymore. It's held by the people who actually care. The people who protect their own. My son taught the entire neighborhood that lesson. Sometimes the biggest takedown comes from the smallest hero. Sometimes justice wears sneakers and carries a laptop instead of gavel. And sometimes the Karen who thought she ruled the world discovers the rules were never hers to begin with. Thanks for listening to this story. If you've ever been fined by an HOA Karen, if you've ever felt the whole neighborhood turn against you, if you've ever wondered if one kid could really take down an entire corrupt system, drop a comment. Tell me your HOA horror stories, because the next one might be even better. And remember, family protects family. Just make sure it's the right family.